You're watching TVC Breakfast. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. A phrase from George Orwell's Animal Farm is what comes to mind when analyzing the recent approach by the Department of State Security Services at tackling kidnapping in the country.
A manual from the DSS, which provides tips against kidnapping for very important personalities, is generating controversy. A copy of the handbook titled Kidnapping, Why Me and My Family was sent to the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, and other top government functionaries.
A cross-section of Nigerians are now querying why the DSS will engage in selective protection of citizens. And they say, given the spate of kidnapping in the country, any security advisory aimed at stemming the tide ought to be made public.
Reacting to the backlash, the DSS said the handbook is not exclusive, adding that it conducts regular public awareness on security issues.
All right, joining us now is a former Assistant Director of the State Security Services and the CEO of Zoomland Security Solutions, Dennis Amakri. It's nice to have you join us right now.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Very good. Now, when it comes to how the DSS works, you are in the best position to educate. In fact, you will take us to classes right now. But talk to us. Nigerians have been reacting over that handbook that was sent to the CBN governor. What is unusual or normal about that memo?
There is nothing unusual about it.
Okay.
Because, you see, the security agency is created to meet certain demands. Okay. And if you remember very well, the NSO, which is the Nigerian Security Organization, was created when Murtala Mohammed was killed. And this particular organization was given the responsibility of VIP protection initially, because most of these organizations are created out of need. And then, of course, if you look at the Secret Service of the United States, it was first created to be an anti-counterfeiting unit. They pursue people who are trying to print money. And then gradually their responsibilities grew. Now, the one for the SSS, the DSS right now, is that they are also involved in public orientation, whereby they speak to people and tell them about security, being security conscious. So this one is just one of the agencies that they talk to. CBN, they talk to NNPC people, they also talk to NYSC. I don't know, did you do your NYSC in Nigeria?
No, of course.
Because if you do your NYSC in Nigeria...
Where else will one do NYSC if it's not in
exactly.
Nigeria?
If you did it, most likely there was a security lecture.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. There's that seminar that will be done in camp.
Exactly. So in camp, I remember I was one of the pioneer members of that particular unit, going around this country talking to NYSC people, and then NURTW, you know, market women. So it's not just limited to CBN. The people saw the CBN notice.
Yeah, perhaps the fact that it was earmarked very important persons, because people have come out to say that issues of insecurity affects everyone. It doesn't recognize tribe or position or your status. In the society. And so this information, particularly because a lot of persons have suffered with regards to issues of kidnapping and, you know, families as well as with regards to this issue. So this information particularly should have been sent out there.
Yeah, the information is, should I say, is stratified. Okay. Whereby there are some that goes to certain people, there are some that, you know, there are information for top government officials that travel overseas. There are information for market women. You know, so you saw the information for CBN governors or CBN top officials. You know, that's a different market altogether, because the information is targeted at different audiences. Like I told you, the NYSC own. The NYSC own is totally different from the one we give to local government chairmen, you know, and so forth.
So there's nothing of concern necessarily. So Nigerians shouldn't be agitated.
No, they shouldn't be, because that association, the agency, has even produced magazines, newspapers, that they distribute regularly.
Okay.
Pressmen that go there will see journals on security consciousness that they do distribute.
Dennis Amakri, thank you for clarifying this for us.
Thank you very much.
It's okay. Now, joining us now is, joining me in the studio is a former Assistant Director of the State Security Service and CEO Zoomland Security Solutions, Dennis Amakri. It's nice to have you join me this morning.
Good morning.
Great. Now, a lot of those who are in the security circle, like you, have taken the time to explain to Nigerians that there's nothing unusual about the handbook that was sent out. But I know you must have engaged with a lot of Nigerians and people asking you questions directly as to why this and why that. Now, why do you think Nigerians are apprehensive or even agitating against this, this memo now?
Maybe because they've not seen any particular document for them to, enlighten themselves. Okay. And I think these magazines and documents that the DSS produce are in circulation, actually. Okay. And I believe that the press should have done very well in, reproducing them for everybody to use. And of course, it's not just a document itself. Sometimes they have even television adverts. You've seen adverts from the DSS talking about kidnappers are not ghosts and stuff like that. All those are for public enlightenment. And the DSS has a public orientation, public enlightenment department, fully fitted with all kinds of resources with which they use in propagating information to the public. They work with even the National Orientation Agency. So it depends on who is actually listening to it, because sometimes even when we go to NYSC camps to go and deliver security lectures, some of the NYSC people will take off because they don't want to listen to security things that affect them. So these are the kinds of things that they do.
All right. Now, because of the roles people play and the different levels of life they occupy, certainly from the politician or members of the diplomatic corps or an average Nigerian, certainly we will certainly see these things from different perspectives. Yes. But now that a handbook has gone out to VIPs, if we have to go into that handbook, what area, how would security be seen from that perspective? What are the tips really there, if you have to just give us an overview? The
tips are the same, where the public is informed to be very, very security conscious while they are moving around. And it has been said in different fora. Somebody will be driving all the way from Ikeja here to Ogun State, and he does not even know that he's being followed. You should be able to drive your car in the 360-degree format, whereby you are watching front and back and sideways to make sure that you are not being followed. And if you are being followed, there are evasive methods that you are going to be used, that you will use. And then, of course, don't be in the wrong place at the wrong time. These are things that happen to you. And then, of course, in your own house, tell everybody, your family, where you are going to, so that they don't miss you. And then you find out that some people will just disappear and nobody knows where they are. And, even if you are caught now, the book also, or some of the pamphlets they bring out, will tell you where you can actually, what you are going to do to survive. So you don't just forget about security tips.
Okay. So everyone is involved somehow.
Everybody is
depending
involved.
On where you find yourself and what you
and
find
you
yourself
are the first
doing.
security person.
All right. To yourself.
To yourself.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dennis Amakri, CEO Zoomland Securities. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
You're watching TVC Breakfast. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. A phrase from George Orwell's Animal Farm is what comes to mind when analyzing the recent approach by the Department of State Security Service at tackling kidnapping in the country.
A manual from the DSS which provides tips against kidnapping for very important personalities is generating controversy. Now, a copy of the handbook titled Kidnapping, Why Me and My Family was sent to the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, and other top government functionaries.
Well, a cross-section of Nigerians are now querying why the DSS will engage in selective protection of citizens. They say, given the spate of kidnappings in the country, any security advisory aimed at stemming the tide ought to be made public.
Now, reacting to the backlash, the DSS said the handbook is not exclusive, adding that it conducts regular public awareness on security issues.
Well, joining us now is a former Assistant Director of the State Security Service and CEO, Zoomlens Security Solutions, Dennis Amakri. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Now, this is meant to be a proactive measure by the DSS,
Yes.
you know, in times like this. But some have come out to say that, all right, we're where we are now, but in moving forward, the DSS perhaps should collaborate with the NOA to amplify things like this for all citizens, to reach all citizens.
They're already doing that.
Really?
Yes, they're already doing that. And in fact, I expect the NOA to actually propagate. You know, I have been very worried about the NOA in many cases, not only on security
Many
issues.
Nigerians are.
Yeah, even during the election, we were talking about it, where people want to be educated about the election. Some people don't know how to vote, you know, and the NOA should be coming out with these things. The SSS collaborate with them, but I don't think they are giving it the gusto that it's supposed to use.
So when it comes to these security concerns for the majority of the people, because if you weigh the number and do the maths, those who are VIP are fewer in number than Nigerians who are everywhere. Yeah. What should an average person be looking out for? What are the security tips that one should be conscious of?
Well, number one, it's not directed at VIPs alone. I have explained that. You know, there are, across board, it goes into different strata of Nigerian society. But people should be very, very much aware of when it comes to kidnapping or other kinds of crimes that are happening right now. You expect somebody to be very cautious when he wants to travel from here to, say, Onitsha, and then he's leaving by night. You know, it is dangerous, and he might run into certain things, you know. So it is more, it's better for the person to be more careful.
Now, there's also, break this down for us. There is the advice that you should let people know where you are and where you're going.
Yes.
There's also the advice that you should not disclose where you're going and where you are for security reasons. How do you decipher this?
If you are going anywhere, tell your immediate family where you're going. But if you are traveling to, you want to go on vacation, don't go and start propagating or broadcasting in that, oh, I'm going on vacation, I will leave next week, and you know, and be very careful, because sometimes you might be saying these things in front of certain people you think are very close to you. People like drivers, you know, even in your car. Be very, very careful about what you're saying, because these people can pick up and then rebroadcast.
Quickly, I'd like for you to touch on the issues of the social media, because a lot of persons or a lot of us are culpable with regards to, you know, using that to just disseminate any kind of information.
Yes,
quickly.
And people should be very, very careful about fake news. And that is one of the areas that the DSS is also concerned about. You know, fake news, trying to counter them. Because most of the things you see there are not real. You know, people will come up with all kinds of stories. But when you listen, as an ordinary citizen, when you read anything there, first of all, think, is it true? Can it be true?
All right.
Google it.
You process it for yourself.
It will tell you whether it is true or not.
All right.
All right. Dennis Amakri, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you so much
for the enlightenment there.